cool shade of the coconut groves along the shore.
Let's do this.
All right, we're recording, so we can start whenever, man. Let's go.
Okay, dude. Was it? Did you like already plan it, or like did you want me to kind of like come
Well,
up with?
the theme. Yeah, no, I when we talked about it over DMs, it was just I kind of just left it at that, right? It was just like a mental health kind of just talk about whatever regarding like mental health in general. So we can just jump in on whatever topic like that involves that really. So it's
Oh,
whatever, free
okay,
form.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
we really
no,
just we just spitball on
Hmm.
here.
that is that is really awesome. Because I mean, that's how my mind works a lot of the time too. Because
Yeah.
I'm really good at like thinking out loud. Um, so I mean, I guess like a something that's really prominent like at the moment for me, right, is trauma, right? Because
Hmm.
I just have like friends who are dealing with a lot of it. And for me as someone who come like my background just doesn't involve too much trauma. And then that's like the trauma that I do have, like I was able to overcome pretty easily. So it's just weird
Yeah.
kind of having kind of like trying to relate or like be compassionate about it because I just don't have the experience struggling with trauma. It's not that I don't have it.
Hmm.
It's just that I didn't struggle with it the way other people did. Um, and so that's been like a really interesting like new process for me to try and figure out.
Yeah.
So I don't know
I mean,
what you,
I low key relate, because like you said, I have trauma as well, but honestly, I kind of I kind of talked about it for the first time with some homies like a while ago. I told Darius about it too, and it was more of just like an informational thing because it didn't really affect me when I talked about it because it
right,
was it was really like it was a really prevalent thing. You know what I'm saying? It really affected it. Well, it did. It definitely affected me in a way like when it happened, but it never really like hung over my head as you would expect. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
when I told Darius about it, I was just like, yeah, this thing happened to me and it sucked, but it's whatever. There's nothing I can do about it now, right? It's literally whatever at this point. And
right.
that's how I like I guess I handle trauma. It's just like it's information. It's something that happened to me and it kind of just it's stored in my head and all it is information. It doesn't like hurt me or like or do what you would expect trauma to do, you know? It's
For
just
sure.
information. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um but
So the way that yeah, and I understand what you mean
mhm.
by that, but there's probably more that you can like that you can dive into in terms of how you got to that like the point where it's
Yeah,
just
for sure. It
information.
it definitely was a
Because
journey. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, exactly. Because like my thing, with dealing with the people around me that do have the trauma is that it affects like everything they do. Like like they can't function correctly.
Hmm.
Um, it's
No, I
just
feel
like
you. Yeah.
yeah, it's real crazy. It's like nothing like I like they go through struggle like every single thing is so much harder than it should be because of their trauma. And it's like that like for that like it's like a constant reminder that some shit happened to them.
Yeah.
Like, like that's it's like super wild to think about because it's just like one of the reasons that I like that trauma doesn't creep back like into my head is because I'm not affected by it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I did my healing. But it's like I don't know what's holding them back from healing, or like because some people just have busy lives or they're on survival mode all the time or whatever.
Hmm.
But it's like I think that's just another reason why like actually focusing and like having some urgency about like healing and solving like the mental issues that come along with your trauma, right, is like it's really important because it's not like it's not like it's something that you can ignore. Like
Yeah.
it gets worse. Like it gets worse, especially
Hmm.
as an adult when you have more responsibility for yourself.
Hmm.
um and it's just like it's like not like almost like a pessimistic thing to say, but it's not because it's just real,
Hmm.
but like as an adult you're just like super responsible for yourself and you gain more responsibilities as you gain more independence and all these things, and it's just like trauma is not the thing to play with as an adult, because that's
Yeah.
how you get into really stupid situations where where you're broke, where you have no friends anymore because trauma is making you do weird things in your relationships, and
Hmm.
um, you're being impulsive, or you're not even taking care of yourself, and hell, obviously we know like that sometimes it goes all the way to suicide. So it's just like really crazy.
Yeah. You would think, right, that like the older you get, the more power you would have over it, right? But like
Right.
literally it's almost instinctual to just do stuff that it is not like advantageous for you. You know what I'm saying? Like you said,
Hmm.
like as you deal with it, you start to do things that like it doesn't make sense. Like you said, at the end of the line, at the end of the road, like you said, is suicide. Like that's the worst thing you can do. But people have done it. People get to that point,
Right.
you know.
Hmm.
But like like going back to what I said originally, like you would think as you get older, with different experiences, new experiences, new information, like, you have all of these avenues to get better, right? Like going back
Uh-huh.
to you talking about healing, right? You really do have more control. We just don't act like it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We have
Hmm.
avenues to heal. We have like, we can actually do things like like going back to my tweet earlier or like a couple of weeks ago talking about anxiety, right? Like people, all types of people have anxiety, right? Everybody,
Hmm.
almost everyone has some form of anxiety. But at the end of the day, like that is not something that that is something that you can overcome. You can
Right.
overcome anxiety. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
anxiety and trauma, like they're two different things, but they also hold hands. You know what I'm saying? It's hand in hand, right? But anxiety is easier to talk about because it's just it's nerves. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's just nerves. Because at the end of the day, if you choose to, you can live with that anxiety for the rest of your life, and you'll never get over it. Same with trauma.
Right.
If you choose to hold on to the trauma, you will for the rest of your life, and it will always bring you down in some form, some fashion. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And you know, based off of what you said, like there's two different ideas that I want to introduce, which is, well, one, right? So the word is like mental illness, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's implying, that there's something wrong, right? And a lot of the time you need a doctor to help an illness, quote unquote, right? And it's the the scary part about some of these mental illnesses, like for so one of the reasons that I am pretty compassionate when it comes to these things, and I don't get super harsh about people not like having that urgency that I talked about earlier, is because not everybody is, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way and not in a narcissistic way either, but not everybody's super equipped in terms of intelligence and self awareness to be able to kind of like diagnose themselves and understand like the source of certain things and
For
how it's
sure.
affecting them.
Yeah.
So that's like that's one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
um but then uh and and I can accept that, but like then but then there's like then there's the other responsibility. It's like, at least at the very least you can understand that you're unhappy and that you should go seek that doctor, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
um and it doesn't have to be a person. It could be like literally anything. Like, I don't know, you journal a little bit, like like
Mm-hmm.
but it's so and then the consequent idea that I wanted to bring up was that there is an amount of compassion that you probably should have for people that that are struggling with mental illness, but uh I'll explain it this way, right? A lot of people, a psychologist specifically, describe crime as a mixture of opportunity and desperation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why would you rob someone? Well, like, one, like, they seem vulnerable. Two, you need money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to people who kind of like become victim or decide to play the victim card when they are dealing with a mental illness, like they're just like, I can't do it. I'll always be depressed. I'll always have the anxiety. I think some of that is kind of society kind of babying people too much. It's just like, oh, that's a hard thing. And it's okay if you just be unhappy for the rest of your life. And I don't think that that's an okay thing for society to do. I think that at the end of the day, you do have to be a little, not even hard on people, but you have to hold them accountable for themselves, right? Because happiness is our personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone cries that they're unhappy, it's just like at one time or another, they're gonna have to face the reality that they're responsible for that unhappiness. Um, and society needs to treat it that way. Because if you don't put it in front of them that they're responsible for that, or if you tell them that it's okay for them to just struggle for the rest of their life, or that like anything other than happiness is acceptable, that is the quote unquote opportunity in this equation. And then, the desperation is, obviously like uh, the difficulty of getting through the mental illness, because like it's not like an amazing like it's not like an easy process trying to get through your trauma or like the problems that come along with it. It's not an easy process. It's daunting for sure, but it's like you have to have some kind of motivation, some kind of courage. um but it's like, so if the difficulty is kind of the desperation, or like the demotivator, and the opportunity is the amount of compassion that society has for these people in these places, people are going to just be complacent and just sit
Yeah.
there with their trauma. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a thing that's gonna happen, and so it's just like it's really weird. I like it bothers me a little bit when I see people in who are only supportive of their friends and don't push them or contradict them when they need to be contradicted.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is times where you need to tell someone that their thinking is a little bit convoluted or dangerous, toxic. It's a good thing to do for your friends or for anyone for that matter.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that was my little piece on that shit.
Yeah, I think those are those are definitely some good points. Yeah, I the one thing you did say that I 100% agree on is that society is like pushing that like narrative that like, you know, or not even narrative. They're like not giving you enough. um they are and they aren't. They are giving you resources, but they're not giving you the means to like use those resources in an effective way. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely understand, like, you know, there are therapists out there and there are means of healing that are out there that you can use those. You know, you can go to a therapist, you can talk to somebody, like, you know, it's online, like, you know, there are avenues you can take, but the process of like actually getting there is so like it's almost, it's not impossible, but it almost is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
what's the incentive? You know what I'm saying? What's the true incentive? Are you really there to help? Is like, are people like real? Do people really care about you? Do they really care about like your, like how your thought process, your the way your mind moves? Do people care about your happiness truly? You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, does, like, you really have to just like ask yourself, does society really care about me? You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like, no one's gonna care about you more than you, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not saying that, like, you know, you can't go to a therapist or you can't, you know, use these outlets or avenues, or you can't, I'm not saying you don't do that. Please do. If you have the means to do it, do it. But at the end of the day, you can't like lean on someone else or use someone else to help you get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
That's exactly what it
that's
is.
you have to take those steps by yourself. And like, not even a therapist, really. You don't have to go to a therapist. Like, sometimes it's just your friends, right? Why are you leaning so hard on your friends to get to where you should be? Like I mean, like you said, I mean, be a good friend. You know what I'm saying? Support them. Be like, get them to a place where they're comfortable and they're able to move on and do things normally and be happy in general. For sure, do that. But at the end of the day, you know, they're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be that person that's going to like take you out of the hole. You know what I'm saying? You have to take yourself out of the hole. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can help you out. They can do whatever they can do, but at the end of the day, it's your own 2 feet that you're going to have to use. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
Yeah.
like that's the cool thing about the like well, not a cool thing, I guess. Like that's like the literal um the function of a psychologist is like they don't fix you. They present you with the problems that you are not able to find out on your own, and
Mm.
then you fix them.
Right.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It's just
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
That's the function of a psychologist.
Hmm.
You know. So it's just like support is never going to be enough. It's just like you say. It's just like and it's just like I guess the question is how do we get people to understand that like happiness is their responsibility. You
Yeah.
know. Mm.
It's another thing too about like relationships. That's another thing as well. Is like, um, I'm sure I already know your opinion on this, but like people have to stop like leaning so much on their significant other for like their happiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how people say like, oh my gosh, you make me happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, dude, no, man. I don't like you can't give me that responsibility. I love you. Don't get me wrong. I love you so much, but
Uh
I
huh.
cannot be that source of happiness for you, man. Like I can't do it. You can't lean on me so like for that.
That's a super fair thing to say, right? And
Mhm.
I think the deeper explanation of it is so if you if you are a person who has achieved individual happiness, right? You have your inner peace.
Yeah.
Um, you understand how valuable that is.
Mhm.
And so if you really love someone, you want them to have that as well. And
Mhm.
so you would never encourage them to lean on you. You would never do it because it's just like, well, if your happiness is rooted in me, you will never be as happy as I am. And I want you to be as happy as I am. So it's like that's the logic in it, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like and it doesn't have to stop with relationships either because that's how my mom was with me, you
Mhm.
know, like that, like seriously was just like gave me all the independence in the world because she knows that she's gonna die someday.
Mhm.
You know, and she never wanted me to lean on her or to to kind of not know how to stand on my feet or think on my own, be my own person. So it's just like it's a really real thing. Super unconditional love. Super. It can be hard to create those boundaries, but it's definitely the right thing to do, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a case by case thing, right? Because had I been in your shoes and gone through what you went through, I wouldn't have ended up like you, right? With your mindset, maybe I would have ended up hating my mom and like, oh my gosh, why didn't you, love me or whatever. It's a case by case thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so not like it's a great thing of what your mom did, but it's also you as well. Taking it the way that you did, right?
It was really no. It's a dead. It's like a perfect storm because
Hmm.
it's my disposition. Like it worked with it.
Yeah.
She because the thing is because like I have friends who um so in that like that group I was talking about earlier, like the eight friends that like we've been close forever. You know,
Yeah.
some of them have like super fully functional families, and they like
Hmm.
eat dinner at the dinner table and
Right.
you know, like they be having
Some
conversations
sitcom
and talking
sitcom
about their
family.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And there was others where it's really dysfunctional, and the guy in the dysfunctional family, I don't know where he got the value from. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just like he just felt this like maybe he just had his idea in his head of like how family should be, but he was jealous, super freaking jealous of the dudes with like these with the full families and all this stuff. And I'm just like, and the thing is that he still had his dad, he still had his mom, he still had his brothers. They were all around. There just wasn't like super like functional, super happy or anything like
Yeah.
that. And then, like, and I thought about it, and I was like, damn, he's like really upset like over this. And
Hmm.
and then I thought about my situation. And I never really brought it up to him because I didn't want to like one up his like situation or something like that,
Yeah.
but like my dad was deported when I was 11. Like my dad was deported when I was 11.
Shoot.
Freaking my mom was working all the like dude,
Yeah.
one of the things is like it's not even that like my mom, yeah, my mom chose to give me a lot of independence, but a lot of it was like not even by choice. She's just
Yeah.
working
There
all
was
the
no one to
time.
really
Right.
look after you anyway. So
Exactly, right?
yeah.
And so then my brothers are 4 and 8 years older than me. So this is
Hmm.
huge gap. They went, and especially as soon as they moved out, and I was the literally my entire high school experience was me alone in a house.
Damn.
Like, and it was I was super neglected, super like, and but the thing is that like I never saw it that way. I never felt like, yo,
Mm.
my family abandoned me. Like I never
Yeah.
felt that way. Um, and so it's really like it's like, well, the reason I mention all of that is because yeah, like it really is like a super perfect storm, because it's just like, I don't know, my mindset allowed me to look at that situation in a way that wasn't super destructive for me. Like I didn't feel neglected, and I didn't sit here and was like, yeah, my mom never cooked for me, and now like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I just saw it as like, I literally like, even back then I was looking at it, I was just like, dang, my mom really has to work super hard, she can't be around.
Mm.
Like, and it's just like, this is just me, like I got my own space, my own time. I got making my own decisions. Like this is it. Like, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I was just fine with it. I did what I could with it.
Mm.
But like, had the friend that I'm talking about been in my shoes, I think he might have lost his mind. Because it's
Yeah.
like, not only did he not have a family at all in front of him, it's like if he's complaining about his family not being good enough,
Mm.
imagine if it just wasn't freaking there.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
so it's it really was just like a super, like a perfect storm. I get
Yeah.
what you're saying with all that.
But and that's another thing too, to piggyback off what you just said about like perspective, really, because like anyone can nitpick any problem. You
For
can even you
sure.
can make up a problem, if anything, for with any situation. Look at any situation and you can nitpick. You can find a problem, right?
Well, that's American politics, bro.
Yeah, no, seriously, you can
That's
literally
Twitter right there for you.
no, seriously,
Oh
no.
yeah, that's Twitter
That's
too.
Twitter.
Yeah.
That's Twitter.
You can find any problem in any situation, and you don't even have to try that hard, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what goes back to what I said and what you just said. It's a case by case thing, right? Had he been in your shoes, he would have lost his mind. Like it's just like it's literally the way you look at it. For you it was a glass half full type situation, right? For him it would have been a glass half empty. It's all
Right.
about perspective. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know,
And
man. Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
so one thing I want to mention is that like uh I don't think it's like, I think the older you get and like the more perspective, that you have, it's really hard to just be angry at anybody. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, in my opinion, it's like when you become mature enough, like the emotion of anger kind of starts to leave your body a little bit, because
Mm-hmm.
you understand, especially as you like psychoanalyze your own decisions and stuff that you regret or that you are not proud of in the past. It's like you start to understand the reasons why you did those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can understand that even the things that you are not proud of and the things that you didn't mean to do, um, like if you can understand and forgive yourself for those things, it's like you have to start giving that courtesy to other people. And I'll give a little bit of explanation for it, right? So I was not always super proud of myself. There's a lot of work that I did to get to where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, there's a lot of stuff. I used to lie a lot. I used to manipulate people. I used to be such a freaking narcissist. Um, I was impulsive. Like there's the countless issues that that like I was like an ugly person, and not a lot of people saw it because like I carried myself well, but like I saw it, right.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the most important
but
thing.
and so afterwards, and when I realized that I just straight up wasn't happy and I wasn't living up to standards that I probably should be, especially with like the amount of intelligence that I have and like whatever. Um, I was like, you know, I was like, why did I do those things in the past? Like what was wrong with me? Like some of this stuff doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that doesn't even seem like Ray, like that doesn't even seem like a decision that I would make, and then I put myself back into the perspective of where I was when I made those decisions, and it's just like, well, I didn't have this piece of wisdom back then. and I didn't have this amount of awareness, and I wasn't as compassionate, and I wasn't considering other people's emotions in those moments, and things like that. And so it's like here, and so and kind of like the end point of this is saying that like Ray back then did the best that he could with the tools that he had, and he made a decision.
Mm.
And it was it was shit for sure, but like he did the best he could. Um, and so when you give that courtesy, when you give that like what's the word that when you give the benefit of the doubt, kind of like of that thought process to other people when they do something that's stupid or it makes you mad, you kind of have to give a lot more leniency because it's like the thing is that people don't make decisions that will make them ultimately unhappy on purpose. People, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
like the natural instinct is to try and do the thing that will make you happy. That is like the human instinct,
Hmm.
you know? And so you have to keep that in mind whenever anybody makes any decision. It's just like, you know, sometimes people just straight up don't know any better.
Mm.
And so when you start to like just kind of understand that there are different maturity levels, and then not everybody is you, and not everybody is someone else. That you know, it's just like like anger kind of just starts to disappear from you. You start to understand people a lot better. It's like it's really crazy.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I mean, you hit it before I could actually say it, but I was gonna say like it seems more instinctual. You know what I'm saying? Like for you to make a decision that makes you happy in the moment, right? Because most of the time it's not even like they're not even thinking like ahead. It's just like, okay, what's gonna make me happy like right now, and it can be any situation. It's not even it's not even like going to buy a game or a drink or food. It's like any given situation. What how do I come out on top, right? And that decision
Right.
that they make is not necessarily the best decision, but that thought process, like everything that they thought up until making that decision, like you said, was the best that they could do with the tools that they had, right? And it's like, okay, you look at it and it's like, okay, well, that was the dumbest thing you could have done right there. Why did you do that? And
Mm,
it always, like, I mean, you said it perfect. Like it always goes back to like, okay, well, that's what I thought was right in the moment.
right.
And that's the key word though, or the key phrase, in the moment, right? and and here's where I start to disagree, not necessarily disagree, but like I have another point to make to what you were saying about um you know giving them leniency on the decisions that they make. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, sure, but at the end of the day, you could have looked ahead too. You know what I'm saying? What's the outcome of
Mm,
this outcome of this situation or this decision? If I go through with it, what's the outcome? If I do something different, what will happen then, right? And at the end of the day, it goes back to what you're saying too. Is like not a lot of people have that mental capacity to actually do that, to actually have that like thought process of like trial and error. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if I
right.
do this, this will happen, or if I don't do this, this will happen. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, at the
Mm,
end of the day, like Gabe 2 years ago was retarded. And I still kind of am. But at the end of the day, like like you said, it's you become wiser every day. You gather new tools as you grow older. You know, and I mean, like I said, it's that's kind of what I wanted to get at. Is like I get it. I understand why you would give people the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like everybody has some form of trial and error embedded in them that they refuse to use. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's
and so the thing is, and don't get me wrong, you know, the understanding aspect of what I'm talking about is completely for yourself,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
It's so that you can forgive people and move on with your life. The thing nobody says that you have to stick around, you know, anybody who frustrates you. Like that's not a
yeah,
thing.
for sure.
You can always have your boundaries, but the thing is just it's a useful tool to have
Mm-hmm.
in terms of understanding people. Uh, for you to like forgive and move on, you know, because like if you don't understand why something happens, there's like an amount of closure that's not there.
Yeah,
um that's just kind of, I guess, the only reason that I even came up with that thought process, you know.
yeah. And I mean, if we're gonna talk about like just forgiveness in general, you know, like a lot of people forgive differently, right? Forgive in different ways, right? I think forgiveness is like love almost. Like everyone has
Right.
their own definition of love, right? I think forgiveness is in that same vein. Everyone has their own definition of forgiveness. I think that forgiveness is like a really really big thing when you look at when you're deciding on what to do, if like, you know, if you're dealing with someone that's affected you in a certain way that made like an extremely stupid decision, like you have to figure out your way. Like, I mean, you don't even have to forgive them. You don't have to. You can just, like you said, it's about boundaries. If you just want to move along with your life, just get out of there. You don't have to do anything with it. But
So,
I think that I honestly though, I do think that forgiveness does like relieve a lot of weight. I think, you know, like just for your
uh-huh.
day-to-day life, just like, because honestly though, like if you think a lot more than you think. I know that sounds dumb, but like you're always thinking about things that affect you in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? And if you have been affected by somebody that, you know, did something dumb or like ruined your life in some sort of way, that's always going to stick to you. That's a part of your life now. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to
Right.
acknowledge it or not, it's going to be a part of you.
Yeah, and to add to that, like the way I see it, forgiveness is never for that other person. It's never for their benefit. It should entirely be for yourself, you know?
Yeah,
Mm.
for sure.
I can agree there for, for a lot of reasons. I think the only time it's a little bit, there can be nuance is where like forgiveness is the only way forward in terms of like a friendship or relationship, and you guys both are just like, how are we gonna do this? Like, how are we
Hmm.
going to forgive each other? But the one where I was gonna go to is like, so in the topic of like trauma, and we've gone full circle into like understanding and then forgiveness.
Hmm.
Um, where so you get to a certain level, like let's say you deal with the major traumas in your life, the things that make you dysfunctional. um then as a healthy individual, you start to become able to address like kind of like micro traumas is what I like to call it. um and it's like it's what you're talking about.
Hmm.
You feel you have an experience, and you feel some pain, with an interaction. Let's say you're jaded because, oh, I just, you know what? I'll use one of my experiences as an example, just because it's easier to go like that, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not talking about hypothetical people and hypothetical such situations, but I had like a really crazy thing happen, where I met a girl, and like I like seriously fell in love. Like I super fell in love, and like she was very like she was all about me, and like invited me to her place, and like in our like I'm trying to figure out what details I want to use and which ones I
Yeah, yeah.
don't.
Take your time. Take your time. You don't want to reveal too much.
Right, right. You're just like, yeah, this bitch, like
Yeah.
that hoe over there, like, bro. Nah, I don't want to do all that because I'm still friends with her and everything. But it's
Yeah.
just like it's a crazy story to tell.
Hmm.
Um, and it's I we're as I say that we're friends. Obviously, there's a lot of that went into us being able to be friends. There's a lot of
Hmm.
conversations that happen and all that. And she's grown as a person as well.
That's
As
good.
I presented, my issues with what happened. So
Hmm.
I'll go ahead and finish the kind of like present the issue. Um, so me as a healthy minded individual, I get into this love interest. Um, and I'm all about it, and she's all about it. Like, she's like writing poems and shit like that.
Mm.
And I just like one day I just get hit, like I just get like not physically, I just get smacked up by like
She
this
decks
random
you in
thing.
the she decks you in the freaking chest is one.
Nah, nah, yo, nah. So I get hit with some random news, like, cause I
Hmm.
was just chilling in the apartment, and like one of her roommates was just like, "Yo, homegirl has a boyfriend, right?"
Oof.
And I was like.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I was like, dog. I was like, I was like, I appreciate you telling me that, but I'm gonna talk to her.
Hmm.
Uh, I was like, let's see it. I was like, let's see what she says. Um, and then like she explains the situation and like and as a healthy minded individual, I straight up didn't even get mad. I was just like, damn. I was like, that's crazy. And that sounds complicated. And I was like, but as a friend of yours, I'm going to remove myself from the situation because I don't want you to break up with this guy because you like me.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
got to decide on like you got to decide on your own that you don't like him and that he's not enough for you. Then you can come at me.
Hmm.
And like so that's what I did. Of course, I was still a little bit jaded by the situation. I was upset that I was kind of lied to and things like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but there was an amount of understanding and forgiveness that went into me actually being healed and not doing the thing that like all the girls on Twitter like to do, where I hate all women.
Yeah.
And you
Kill
know,
all females.
I didn't fucking do that, even though that shit was like grimy, you
Right.
know, like,
Hmm.
and it's not the only instance of that kind of happening in my life, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't sit there and go, you know, all women are garbage, and like I didn't start having an outlook that you know influenced me to have negative emotions towards women or prejudice towards women. It's like I didn't just start assuming that women are like can be liars or anything like that. I still assume the best of everyone I meet. But these are so like what I was talking about is like these are like micro traumas and people don't because it doesn't make them completely dysfunctional such as major traumas. It is still something that is a problem that people actually need to, you know, kind of uh, uh take seriously. Because like had if I let all of these micro traumas kind of turn me into a different person and I didn't deal with them, I could be just as bad as some of the other people on Twitter, just sitting there arguing with people and accusing people of being garbage for no reason. Like all that
Yeah.
stuff, like it's just not helpful, straight up. And then like in those people who are on there just agitated every day, it's like they don't live happy lives either. Like
Mm.
it's not you know, it's not
Yeah.
nice. Um, so there's that's just like a little tidbit I had.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, dude. If I mean that's a good thing to it's a good name, like a good classification, like micro traumas, because at the end of the day, like they might not be big enough for you to just like completely remove yourself from life, but if you let them linger long enough, they can eventually. You know what I'm saying? They have room to like micro traumas have room to grow into major traumas. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
they might not like affect you like the same way. Like, oh my gosh, you know, like I just don't want to get up in the morning, man. Like this, like for example, this was a major trauma for me. Like, and I feel like everyone has experienced this. This is a common major trauma, like a big breakup in high school. I had a big breakup in high school that destroyed me. Like I came to school crusty every day. Like it was bad. I was dysfunctional. It was bad,
Rusty.
dude. Crusty, bro. Didn't brush my teeth. Didn't wash my face. I just put on some sweats and hit the bus, bro. I was done every
Damn,
day.
man.
Yeah, man, it was bad. I completely shut down over a girl I dated for 3 months. 3 months.
Damn.
Yeah, dude, this was the first girl that I like. The thing is too is like, bro, like this was like these were new feelings. These were like I never felt anything like this before. Like I never got anything. You know, this was like my senior year, my last year in high school.
I'm gonna grab my water real quick.
All right, I got you. Go ahead. It was my high school or my senior year, right? My last year in high school. You know, I never dated anyone like super seriously. I probably kissed one girl beforehand, but that was my first like real official girlfriend, right? And this was like this felt great. Like in the like right in the middle of it, it was just like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm about to marry this girl. It's about to be so sick. Like it was like misplaced optimism. And pretty much it was just like she broke up with me and like my world fell apart. And I feel like everyone has felt that at some point, like in, you know, in high school or whatever. It's just like this, you know, this someone broke up with you or something. And like this is something that you grow and you look back and you laugh at, right? That's one of those traumas where it's just like, oh man, I was a kid, you know. But at the end of the day, like those micro traumas don't affect you like that. They don't affect you where you like you don't get up and you don't like brush your teeth and do all
For
that stuff.
sure.
It's always this like small things where it's like you said, just tweeting out something, right? Like it's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, she's for the streets, and
So
you move
I
on,
like
right?
I want to like give an example of, like, is it, I can say that like people need to take care of their micro traumas,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to give a reason for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the thing is when you don't deal with those things, it makes you like an unpleasant person to be around.
Mm.
That us, like you become randomly agitated over situations that aren't that serious, um or you have like a closed mind about things because you are like preemptively uh offended about about anything that has to do with your micro trauma.
Yeah.
um and I feel like I've seen it, like, like one of my favorite things about Twitter, I'll say this to everybody out here. If you really want to just like learn how to read people, and you want to you want to like become like a psychologist, you don't even really have to go to school. Start paying attention to the things that people decide they want to tweet, because
Mm.
that is like legitimately, you can say that I'm tripping, but I'm not.
No,
Like,
I
No, no,
no.
no. Twitter
you
Twitter is just like simultaneously the most garbage place to be at, but also it's so interesting and entertaining. Like,
dude, it's insightful
yeah.
because
Yo, yeah. For
here's the
sure.
thing. Here's the thing is that like so I'll use a major example first, right?
Yeah.
People thought racism wasn't as big of a deal as it was
Mm.
until Trump got into office, and then people showed their real colors, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so here's the thing: is that Twitter is the place where people show their true colors. Pay attention to the like way people respond to each other and the things that they decide to tweet unprovoked.
Yeah.
You can understand a lot about the climate of the society and the things that people decide to back, and all this like other stuff. Like, you can learn so much from Twitter. I'm telling you, like, I like learned I learned how to, from a couple of sentences, I learned how to completely understand the perspective that someone thinks from, just based off of the verbiage that they use in their sentences.
Mm.
Like, that's how advanced I've become, legitimately just studying people on things like Twitter and like in Facebook. Like, it's crazy. Like, if
Mm.
you want to do it, you can. Like,
Yeah.
so where was I at before? Oh, so the reason I'm saying that like uh these micro traumas are important to take care of is because it makes you unpleasant. Like, it lowers your quality of life, and it can start to lower it to a place that you are not content with. And at that point you can become depressed, and that is major. That is a major issue that
Dude.
you have to deal with,
And another thing too is like you're not it'll lower you to a point you're not content with, and also you won't know what's happening. You don't know where it's coming from
because it's all
because it's
micro,
so
right?
small. Yeah, it's so
Uh-huh.
small you can't even pinpoint why you're at this point. And I think that's like I I would argue to say that's one of the most important things, because if you can't pinpoint it, then you can't fix it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, I
And
mean, yeah, for sure.
that's the thing about Twitter, is that's why it's so dangerous, is because they do encourage people they egg on people to create more micro traumas. Like, it's just like, you know what? Actually, fuck men. Yep, that's smart.
Yeah, let's
That's a
actually, you know what?
completely
Let's take another step. Let's kill him. Kill all men.
kill him. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
It's
no.
it's a dangerous place. But here's the thing: is that like the women who think that way often, they don't find fulfilling relationships,
No,
because
not
it's
at
like
all.
because the intelligent men, or, the men who are compassionate and loving, are turned off by that type of mindset, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like, what are and so this is like kind of like the example that I'm trying to give is just like it, these micro traumas can lower your life in ways that you don't even know, because they'll be like, why can't I find a partner? It's just like, well, maybe if you weren't, so traumatized
Yeah,
by like
maybe.
these little things, and you weren't freaking attacking every single man that came your way,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, it's like it is a big deal. Like it can be a big deal. Is what I mean to say. It's like it's just like it's a genuine thing. Like I'm not talking out of my ass.
Yeah.
Like it's a real thing, everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Since we're on the topic of Twitter, generalization is it's so terrible.
Don't even get me
It's
started,
so
bro.
annoying. Like just generalizing everything into one category. And I'm not even just talking about like women generalizing men. It's everything. It is literally everything. Generalizing, putting into categories that are so unrealistic that you can't. How are you going to argue against that? Twitter in general just infuriates me sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. We can have a whole podcast just on Twitter. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yep.
I have a lot to say on generalization, and so it kind of goes back to like generalization. I think is very. I think it's an unintelligent thing to do. I think it's ignorant because if you respect yourself as an individual, you obviously understand that there is not a reason to generalize anyone and almost anything. Like you shouldn't, because I, as a Hispanic male, am not a person speaking as all Hispanic males.
There it
Like,
is. There it is. That's it.
yeah, like it's straight up. So like, and it's crazy because it's just like it's a logical fallacy, because like women will speak from their individual perspective, and understand their individuality and all this. Um, but it's like you can't do that and not respect the individuality and the identity of all these other people that are living in the world. You
Yeah.
know, it's like if you want to generalize anything, generalize what we actually are, humans. And at that point, then we can actually work on something. We could be like, you know what, humans are afflicted by certain. Some humans are very impulsive, cannot control their sexual impulses. They do things like rape.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the thing about it too, is that not all rapists are men. Like,
No, not
you
at
know what I'm
all. Not at
saying? It's
all.
like it's not a thing that you should be doing. If your problem is that people are being raped, then why are you attacking men? That doesn't make sense, right?
Go
It's
for the
the
core.
problem. The problem is the rape, not the. You
No,
know
I,
what I'm
I get it.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Not
It's,
the.
it's like
Mhm.
attack rapists. Yeah, rapists suck. Let's go. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Got you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and people combat generalization with statistics, right? Like, oh yeah, well, this percentage of rapists are men, so the majority of the problem is men. It's like, well, dude, that's you're generalizing again, because the other percent that are women, there's still a percentage out there. You want to completely ignore that because, like you just said, we want to attack rape. We want to get rapists out. At the end of the day, like both genders are at fault. That's everything. Oh yeah, well, men cheat the most. So do women. Well, men lie. So do women. Everybody does these things. Like you said, if you want to
Yeah.
generalize something, it's humans. Humans rape. Humans murder. Humans lie. Humans cheat. That's what it is. You.
Yeah, and so you can
Yeah.
think about it like, and it's like I like to come at it from like a logical perspective, so people don't think I'm just being like controversial.
Hmm.
It's just like, okay, so let's do this. Kill all the men. They're gone, extinct. There is still rape happening. There is still, there's still cheating happening. So it's like, so where is the issue? It's not the
Hmm.
men. It is, the people who are impulsive and cannot control their impulses.
Yeah.
Homicidal people with like mental issues. Like those are the issues. It's not, and so like I don't. It's a
It's.
matter, but for me, I think it's a matter of intellectual integrity. I think that people are too comfortable, thinking shallowly in life. Like they don't see consequences for their ignorant thinking.
Yeah.
And like it's like how maybe they should. It's like, but you can't rationalize it in terms of law, so it's like it's not gonna happen. So, like the only thing you can do is like have conversations like this and hope that someone's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all you can do. It's like a really difficult situation to have at hand, you know. Because my thing is like I don't like trust me. If there's any females that are gonna be listening to this, like I'm not freaking like misogynistic whatsoever. It's just like a problem I see a lot, you know, that there are some women who are like very against men, you know, and I know that not all women are like that because like I'm very close with like a lot of women who you know who are very intelligent, who kind of like who see the problems almost the same way I do, right? Like you know, rape is an issue. So it's like I don't have a problem with women. Like I said, you know, and like I didn't and I have my like my traumatic experiences with that shit too. Like you know, and like I don't go after them.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is that like there, I think it's not. I'm not trying to solve the problem because I'm offended. I'm trying to solve the problem because I think you know it's a path forward for humanity. You know, when people start thinking, you know, more with more integrity and you know who they aren't more so lazy about like their logical process, then small issues will disappear very quickly. And like the government won't have so much control over our minds anymore because they won't be able to sway us in these you know these extreme these polarized issues because like everybody's going to be thinking critically, you know, and
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to have a headline and be like, yeah, black man dies, and then everybody fucking's going crazy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like because then everybody's going to be thinking logically, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I literally before we started the show, or the episode, I was talking to a friend about this exact thing, like quite literally. Like he was telling me about uh, you know, he was just talking about Twitter. Like obviously, it's it's frustrating for everybody, and he just wanted to know my opinion on just like the whole thing about like the kill all men situation with women or whatever. And I'm like, well, I mean, men are to blame as well. To be quite honest with you, like we're doing the exact same thing that women are. Like it's not even a like a problem that women have created, or it's like it's the women, like, well, they're saying to kill all men. It's what the heck, they're doing it. Like, well, we're doing it too, like
yeah,
it's
you
not
know,
even it's not even something that like one gender over the other, or one does more over the other, or in just anything in general. It's we're all the problem. We are the issue. The human race is the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And that's why I found it appropriate to like to give my perspective on well,
hmm
you know, and on why I was addressing these issues because it's
yeah,
not that I like you know I would like to express that I'm not coming at it from an unhealthy perspective. It's
hmm
like I would really like to see society succeed at one point,
yeah,
you know, and so there are a lot of difficult conversations to be had,
yeah.
such as
And we're not, and that's the thing. We're not even having those conversations in the first place.
right.
The conversations we're having are so shallow. Like the current topic at hand, or the current issue right now, is men complaining about, oh no, women complaining about like having to go half on rent with a guy. Why is that an issue? Why is that the conversation we're having? Where it's like, oh, he expects me to go half on rent. Oh nah,
Well,
he doesn't have money. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. I don't. I need a high value man type deal.
well, because people
That's
still
the issue.
aren't.
That's the
Because
problem. Go ahead.
it's because people still aren't respecting individuality. You know, I think I think it's a very simple thing to just sit here and go, I have my preference. It might be the end of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like I don't know why it becomes like this giant thing. And honestly, I think it's some of it is just because I think people are bored.
It's
Um,
gotta be. It's
you
gotta be
know,
boredom, man. It's
so,
gotta be boredom.
so I would like to bring you know this notion into the mix is you know it's as old as day is that humans you know like to experience the full spectrum of their emotions and you know it doesn't always have to be like through life experience that's why Shakespeare had his playhouse and why he became so famous is because he was able to evoke human emotion through writing and through plays. Um, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of the time I do think that people are, are uh subconsciously going onto platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and looking for issues because they get a kick out of feeling that anger, that frustration, that controversy, and
Yeah.
things like that. It's just like, but at some point you have to realize that like these aren't necessarily healthy emotions to have. Um, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I stopped arguing on Twitter because I realized that, I not that I was ever getting frustrated because, I'm too level-headed, but I realized that I was kind of like egging, I was kind of like destroying a lot of people's uh let's just say like I made a lot of other people's days bad. Because I
Yeah.
showed them that they were dumb.
Yeah.
you know?
Like burning
And
down their
and I like
ankles.
and I didn't want to like I didn't and it's like what did I gain from that? Like nothing. Like they
Yeah.
Garant like maybe one out of like 50 people like actually learned from me and my approach to problems and things like that. And it's just like, well, that's not useful.
Mm-hmm.
So um but it's just like it's just really weird because it's you have to consider it as like some kind of mental illness, right? That people consider it worth their time to argue on the internet
Mm-hmm.
because it's like at the end of the day, what difference are you making? Like the only time you can really afflict, the only time you can really make a difference, in terms of like someone's way of thinking or whatever is like they have to respect you enough. You have to have a place in their life,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have to consider you like a trustworthy source, someone who is considering their perspective and who cares for them and who wants them to do better. And it's just like if you find you're not going to get that from someone on the internet,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
As so it's like even if someone like me is on the internet and it's just like trying to give you all the wisdom in the world, like say I was saying exactly what someone needed to hear on the internet, they would not listen because I have no relationship to them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um so it's just like it's a really crazy thing. Um
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think that in some way, and I truly believe that I think everybody has a mental illness of some sort, and it could be very small. It could be so minuscule that it barely affects your life, right? And it can be so major that you're in a mental hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like I truly believe that everyone has some or has an issue of like of varying sizes. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care how like perfect you think you are not. I mean, I feel like everyone has got to a point where they don't think they're perfect. I'm sure I'll be surprised at some point, but I truly believe that like everyone has some sort of issue going on.
you know, because there will be points where you have like absolute serenity in
Mhm.
your head, right?
Mhm.
There will be times where you are not afflicted by some type of thing, but the thing is, it's just like life goes on,
Mhm.
and you have stressors that will come to you and that might you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it's not like mental health is just like or like peace is just a thing you achieve and then you're set for the rest of your life. You know, so there will be days where you're just down, you know.
Yeah.
You have a micro depression because what you lost $700 because you crashed your car or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
For
like
sure.
it's a thing that happens. Um, and so and during those times you may be less able, in
Mhm.
terms of mentality, in terms of decision making. In those times where you are stressed and you are in distress, like you will be less able than you might normally be in those times where you are stable and at peace and all these things. And it's like and then it can get worse
Mhm.
because uh you know because if you for whatever reason make some bad decisions after that, like say you're just super stressed out and you like, you know what, I want to drink tonight,
Yeah.
And then you go and do some more stupid shit. Let's say you go and you sexually assault someone because you were too drunk, right? Like it's
Mm.
like it is a thing. Like the life goes on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to be on top of your shit. You know, it may not be that like you every day you're fucked up, but some days you can be.
Mm.
You know, so it's just like I don't know.
I
You got
got
to
a
be really aware of yourself.
yeah, I got a question. Like, why do you think that our generation is so like depressed? Like just like universally like everyone in our general age range is just like down in the dumps like all the time. Like why do you think that is?
Did you watch my podcast? I have a
I
whole
no,
podcast on this. I actually
really.
have a whole podcast on this topic
Oh my
actually.
gosh. Like what did you say? Like
Yeah.
I don't think I watched. I think I watched like did you do multiple episodes or
Yeah,
just
yeah, I've kind of done a bunch now. But
okay, okay. What did you
they're
say
not
in that
like
one?
super yeah, they're not like super long joints. They're all like 7 to 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
But so this that actually was the first one that I did.
Wow.
Um and basically what I was saying is that I don't necessarily think that our generation is like more sad or more depressed than other generations. I just think that we've had like um the luxury of being able to actually experience our mental illness because other generations are like we're so caught up with like the money grind
Mm,
and like getting married and getting their house and all these things. It was just like even if they were fucked up, even if like they were depressed or they like whatever else, it's just like they didn't really have time to like feel it or like think about it or to fix themselves and stuff like
Exactly.
that.
Like we're made more aware now.
mm,
Yeah. So, because the thing is like I look at my dad and I look at his life, bro. Like my dad has infinitely more trauma than I did. Like, dude's parents like died and like when he was young and like
mm-hmm.
came like uh, I'm not even going into it. But you know, like it's like my
Yeah.
parents have some like rough stories, like super rough stories.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
if like
for
it's
sure.
like um and I don't necessarily think that it's not that they're not traumatized or they're not sad. They just like don't even like know how to like begin to comprehend it. It's almost as if ignorance is bliss in this situation, right?
Mm.
Because it's just like, well, they'll just like they'll feel something. They'll be like, that's kind of weird, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
go on with their day,
Right, right.
But for us, it's just like it'll be like a major stressor. It's just
Mm.
like, well, this or like abnormality in my in my head and my decision making is really affecting me, and like I don't feel like doing things I love today.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it affects us more because of like the way that we grew up. I think that we're more aware of it. Um,
I think it's because we
and
have like the option, or I
right.
not the option, but like our parents or the generation behind us didn't know that they had the option. They I think they just thought that it was just like this is how it is. You know, this is like don't acknowledge it and it's not there. You know what I'm saying? Like for our generation, it's like not only do we have the option, but we have the means to express it because
Mhm.
like the with the internet, dog, everyone knows. Like everyone knows like everyone's depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like little Susie down the street, I know she's depressed.
Yeah,
Back like
think
back in the
about
day,
the
you wouldn't have known that.
think
That
about
was
the music too.
yeah.
The music, man. Oh my god.
It has bled into our like
I
our
don't
literal
want to be
culture.
alive.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
want to
want
be alive. I just
to.
want to die today. Yeah,
you
for
know,
real.
it's like
It's literally embedded in our culture at this point. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like, it's
normalized.
it's that word, man. That word.
um,
I think honestly, like normalized in this context is a good thing though, because like if we're all made aware of it, we all have a better means to take care of it as we should. And
for
if we
sure.
do, like all the generations down the line are going to be better off than we were. The next generation after us is going to be better off than we were. The generation after that generation is going to be better off than they were, and so on and so forth. As long as we all are proactive and do what we need to do to handle our emotions the way that we should.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, so I had a pretty cool conversation lately, regarding the progress of society,
Hmm.
and because my thing is, I've experimented with like detachment before, and I've done it.
Mm.
Mind you, I live in a freaking desert. I live in the middle of the desert. Everyone, like, like there
Yeah.
is nothing. There is nothing for 100 miles. Like
Wow.
it is all desert,
Dang.
and it's like really horrible here to live here. And when I was first learning to deal with it, kind of just being in the middle of nowhere, like, so one of the reasons I have such a hardened mentality and such a thorough understanding of like mental health is because I had to deal with so many things being here,
Hmm.
being isolated, um, all these things. But
Yeah.
so the to go on, um, like one of the things that I experimented with in order to like make peace with like being here was detachment. I was like, well, I guess I'm not gonna have clean water. I guess I'm not gonna have like nice air. I guess I'm not ever gonna see something green. I guess I'm not gonna see mentally healthy people because everybody's here is freaking mentally ill, super depressed. People are killing themselves all the time. It's like really bad on this base, dead ass.
Wow.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
so so it's really, and so I was just like, I have still have such a low standard of living here.
Hmm.
Um, and so like I said, one of the things I experimented with was detachment because it's just like, well, if I do not have expectations from life, then I cannot be upset about them. Like kind of, if I do not um what's the word? If I do not have desires, I cannot. It's kind of like I can't be upset about not having them,
Mm.
like those desires to begin with, right? And so I experimented with that, and I succeeded, and I became a very peaceful individual. And like the thing that brought me out of it was because I had friends that felt like they were losing me,
Mm.
um, because they were just like, "Whoa, bro, you don't care about anything anymore." I was just like, "No, like I'm just like at peace." I feel like because
I'm at peace, bro. I'm chilling. I'm zen right now.
No, like I'm serious
Yeah.
because like because I was like super. I was sitting here and I was just like I would look at everything from an objective perspective because I didn't have like any type of intention going into any situation that would occur.
Yeah.
I would just kind of be, and I would look at everything from an objective perspective and all these
Hmm.
things. And so, but the thing was, is that like, of course that like bled into my, friendships and relationships and things like that. And like
Hmm.
one of my friends specifically was just like, I feel like like, like you're not you anymore. Like, I feel like you just kind of just are not even thinking like a human. And I was like, you're right. Like I let go of like the things that I wanted and what made Ray Ray because like I was getting depressed, kind of like yearning for these things.
Hmm.
Um, shoot.
I remember that like period. You were on Twitter at that point. I remember like there were a series of tweets that you tweeted out, like kind of alluding to the fact that you were just kind of like in a low place at the time. Because I mean, being in the desert, I can't imagine like just not having anyone or being able to do anything that you wanted. Like it put anyone in that situation. Like that's kind of like a prison. You know what I'm saying? Like that sucks. I
It
can't
was
imagine.
really horrible. So, the reason I brought that up is because like sometimes my mind goes back to that. I'm just like, you know what? I could just detach again. I could
Hmm.
just go live in a rainforest in Guatemala and freaking be done with everything because I'll just be chilling.
Right.
Um, but the thing is that there's a part of me that wants to see society succeed. I want to see society become enlightened one day.
Hmm.
And there's a way that that happens. Like some people are just like, oh, it's unachievable, but like that is not the case. Because if there are individuals amongst the society who are enlightened, then there has to be a way for the rest of them to do it as well. And it's like the way I'm saying that it's achievable. And
Hmm.
so now that it's achievable, you have to like create the means of getting there. And it's like and in my experience, the best way to do that is like with conversation, with kindness, with understanding, with compassion, with intelligence, with logic. Like all of these things, like you have to be able to as a person bring yourself to new heights of communication. and love and like in ways that are crazy and unconditional. Like, cause, dude, I try so hard every single day to try and spread like kind of like the knowledge and wisdom that I have and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I bring it up, to bring all of that up, is because the conversation I was having was like, man, I was like, maybe I should just like go to a rainforest and just chill by myself. And then I like stopped myself. I was like, no. I was like, because if society is ever gonna get to, like to the point that I think it can get, the point that I was just alluding to, um, people like me are gonna have to be here. We're gonna have to be having these conversations. Like
Yeah.
it's like I think that if you are one of the people who are kind of quote unquote woke and one of the people who are able to communicate, in a manner that is helpful to society and all these things, if you're a leader, you almost have like a responsibility to kind of like to raise the standard, to like to change society into like the new things. And the reason that I thought about this is because Darius like was talking about like, oh, the next generation's gonna have it better, and the next generation's gonna have it
Mm-hmm.
better. It's like, and so you can assume that and then nothing will happen, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there will have not been work done. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you can't just assume that these things will happen. Like there has to be a plan,
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly what I said. Like, as long as the work is done, it'll be this way.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody just has to do their part.
Yeah. You can't expect a tree if you never planted the seed in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
For, for
So.
sure, and so that's what the rest of the conversation goes like that. It's just like that I'm gonna stick around and I'm gonna do my part, and because if I say that I want the society to become enlightened, I'm gonna uh I'm gonna play my part in that. I'm not just gonna sit here and like fucking cry about it. That everybody's dumb, everybody's ignorant, nobody knows anything, and like if I'm not helping those people come out of those situations. So I
Yeah.
like, it's really I did like
For
that's a
sure.
responsibility for sure.
Yeah. No. I definitely agree. Moving on to like a different topic. I feel like we all have like our own opinions on, but I think it's pretty interesting. I think it'll be really relevant for your situation personally because you're out in the desert. Like, how do you deal with like boredom, or
Hmm.
if you think boredom even exists? Because I had a conversation where me and Darius were having like a small conversation about it in general. Like, how do you like what do you think
Oh,
about boredom
boredom.
in general? Like, how do you what's your thought process behind that?
I think boredom is legitimately one of the most disgusting feelings that a human can feel.
Mm,
Uh, I like I think that boredom is the cause of like a lot of unprovoked and intrusive thoughts and actions.
mm,
Like, you know, um, and here's the thing: is that I think boredom, at its core, is caused by. I'll go like this. I'm gonna be very precise with the way I explain this. I think that the human body is almost like a compass. Like a compass is like it is always your body and your mind are always telling you what you would like to do. Kind of subconsciously. If you're paying enough attention, you will always know kind of like your identity because you'll react naturally to certain situations and whatnot. And it's like you're always subconsciously moving towards the direction that your soul, quote unquote, is intended for.
mm,
Um, and so when you are bored, um, it is basically your body and mind telling you that you need to be stimulated. But the thing is that people aren't so aware that they know that to know that that stimulation needs to be something that is purposeful. Otherwise, they are going to stay bored. You know.
mm,
Um, so it's like in order to get out of your boredom, you need to dive into your identity and do something meaningful, um, something that fulfills you. And so that is why boredom is so disgusting to people, and why if you don't know why you are bored, or if you don't have your identity to stem from, to as a reference point or an origin point of why you are bored, then you can do a lot of really stupid things when you're bored because you have no idea how to fix your boredom. The thing is humans always will fix their boredom, you know, and it's not always in healthy ways. Like I've been saying, people eat when they're bored. People will just alter their state of mind with drugs or with alcohol. Um, People will stir up edgy conversation, like uncomfortable conversation with people on Twitter or with people that they know. Like they'll hit up a girl that they're not even interested in and just say weird. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
just
saying? It's
meaningless.
just like
Yeah.
it is like it's a thing that happens, and this is all because of boredom. And it's just like that is not what they would actually like to do. It is just them using that subconscious trial and error that you said everybody has built into them,
Hmm.
right? And so they're like, well, maybe if I do this, but it's like, man, people. The thing is that like they'll keep doing the things that have already failed.
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Hoping
it's
for it,
like it's
hoping for a different outcome.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's insanity. Yeah. So
So you're basically, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I tend to agree to that, honestly. I think that for me, like, I don't get bored too often. I'm always trying to find something to do just in general, whether it be playing games or editing or listening to music or doing whatever. But sometimes I do think that it is helpful to just think, just to sit and think, right? In the right
mm,
context, right? Because I don't think that thinking is necessarily boredom, because sometimes you do just have to just sit and like evaluate. You know what I'm saying? Just like, all right, let's do a checkup. You know what I'm saying? Just like a personal mental checkup. And sometimes that checkup can turn into something destructive if you linger on certain things too long. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Um, like I said, for me, like, you know, when I don't necessarily have something to do, like my body is doing something, when I don't necessarily have that thing to occupy my body, I will essentially just sit and just think, like, have I improved in my life? Like, where am I at in my life? Am I at where I want to be? What can I do to get, if I'm not where, what can I do to get there? Like, and I don't, it's not all the time. I'm not doing this all the time, but sometimes you're gonna have to just sit and evaluate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Um, I know Darius. When we were talking about it. He was what did you say about, what was your opinion on boredom, like, as far as just there's always something to do, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I think boredom is it can be something that's very easy to circumvent if you are, I don't know, because I feel like if you're bored, you're letting yourself be that way. Like you're not searching for what you need to do or what you want to do in order
right.
to get rid of that feeling. So
Hmm.
if you're feeling that way, that just means that it really just comes down to you not doing enough at the moment. It doesn't have to be something that's like actually like impactful to the world or anything like that. It just has to be impactful to yourself. You know, like it needs to be something that you feel like an emotional reaction to, I suppose.
For sure.
So, like if as long as you're on the search for that, you're bound to find it because you're actively trying to look for it. So as long as you're doing that, I don't feel like you can, like, boredom still, it'll still happen, but I don't think it's
For
as
sure.
easy as people always claim they are. Like people always like, I'm bored, I have nothing to do. Somebody hit me
Hmm.
up, this and that, just stuff like that. It's like, you know, to me when I see that stuff, it's like it's you're not that bored. You can do A, you can do B, you can do C, and you'll be fine. You know, just
Hmm.
just do a little more is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing is that like they do, they'll say that like someone hit me up and then they won't answer because the conversation isn't the answer to their boredom, you
Hmm.
know? And
Yeah.
so one thing I would like to bring up like kind of next is like So sometimes people ask me about my growth process, right? Like, Ray, how the hell did you get the way you are? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And like the thing is that it's not a crazy process. Like it's not like I read some crazy books or I was just studying philosophers or something like that. Like literally it's natural. I think humans dead ass like choose happiness innately, you know? And if you focus on that innate kind of direction that humans have and you focus on like what makes you happy, like, you know, you end up solving a lot of problems. You end up understanding yourself so well, so crazily well. You know, you understand what encompasses your happiness and things like that. And the reason that I say this is because how I relate that to the boredom conversation is because when you are bored, it is your body and mind and soul searching for that innate path towards your happiness. It wants you to do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's why boredom feels disgusting is your body is just like, bro, start working harder.
Yeah.
I want to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
That's what it is to me.
Yeah,
At least that's how I've
absolutely.
always felt about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. It's just like we know what makes us happy. We're just not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
it's quite literally just making the decision to go after what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I wanted to do this. I want to do, you know, I want to make videos. I want to make content. You know what I'm saying? Like this podcast is the first thing that I was able to do to achieve that. You know what I'm saying? I've always wanted to do something like this, and I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
I got 14 subscribers. I have no one is watching this. Like it's like 50 concurrent viewers that's watching like consistently. But dude,
I
I'm happy,
I'm
bro.
one of those subscribers.
No, dude, thank you. I appreciate it.
Salute.
Salute, bro. But dude, this is sick. This is so tough. You know what I'm saying? Like I have not made like a lasting impression on the world, or I know it's gonna be a slow burn. I'm gonna do this till the day I die. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm.
this is genuinely making me happy. Like the process of like me actually getting the equipment, like hitting record and just doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
this is tough. You know what I'm saying? And like honestly, just having these conversations and just like editing and like tweaking this and tweaking that and just like and just sitting down thinking about ideas, doing whatever, thinking about stuff in the future. Like I'm using this as an example, but people can do this. People can do what I'm doing. Like, dude, I don't have any type of money. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty much broke. You know what I'm saying? This is all stuff I accumulated over time, and I just said screw it. I'm doing it, and anybody can do that. Anybody that has any type of dream can just say screw it. I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's all it really comes down to. Literally, the only person holding them back from achieving what they want in life is themselves. I can't like explain it any other way than that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Man, we used to geek at Men's Warehouse. Man, we used to work there.
That's what I was gonna, you know, I was about to talk about that again, you know. I was just like,
Dude, I was thinking about this the other day, but you used to do this thing where you would like
I
you
feel
would
like I already know what you're about to say.
dude.
I feel like I already,
Wait.
I feel like, is it on the scale of 1 to something?
Wait. I think it is. I never knew what the process was called, but I'm gonna describe it. And it was the funniest thing ever, bro. I would geek out every time. You would literally stand there, right? You would open your mouth as if you were to scream, and there would be no buildup. You just have your mouth open and then just like hit max, like you would just scream at max level like, for no reason, and there would be no like it would just be that shit was so funny, bro. You used to do that all the time for unprovoked, all the time. Like as if the store was empty, you just do that shit across. Like you would just be patting down blazers or whatever, just scream.
Actually, you know what exactly what it was I used to scream the Vegeta joint.
I think
The
that's what
over
it was.
9,000.
I think that's what it was. I
Yeah,
think that's
that's
what it
what
was. It
it
had to have been
was.
something because like there was
I
something you were referencing, but I forget what it was.
it was those. It's over 9,000.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
I used to just scream that shit for no reason. Oh,
Bro, that should have me geeked every time, dude. I was on the floor every single time. That was so funny.
oh
gosh.
man.
Those
Nah,
were
yeah.
those were good times, dude. Like freaking, we were close. I think I joined. I got hired when we were closing. You were working there a long time before I was hired. I think I don't know, but we were closing at that time, and it was crazy because it was always busy at any given moment. It was somebody was in the store doing something. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
man,
Do you remember homegirl that like would sexually harass me like all the time?
which one? Zainab or what is her? Was her name Zainab? She was from
No,
Morocco. She was from Morocco, right?
no, not
Patricia?
Zanab. The
Patricia?
old Patricia,
Patricia,
bro.
bro,
Oh my
bro.
god,
I remember that was bad, man. That
that
was
shit was like
bad.
really
That
freaking
was
wild.
weird, man. That shit
I
was
was just
weird.
like, what is going on? I was like, is she like
Bro, we were
attracted to
like
me?
17, 18 years old.
And then, like, yeah,
She got a
homegirl,
kid. She got a
she was
kid.
like,
Dude, she was old, bro.
she was like 30 or so, you know, and I was just like, I don't know how to respond to
Man,
these things. Like, she was just
man.
like, I said something to someone. I think it was to you, or no, actually, it was to dude with the dreads. Um,
I forget his name. Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about.
and
That was all thing too.
I was like something. I was like, cause he asked where something, what it is. I was like, or like where something was, and I was like, oh, it's like down the middle down there. And like Patricia was like, you can split me down the middle, and I was like, I was like, shut up. Like, I was,
What?
I was like, dude, she was inappropriate all the time, and nobody
Bro,
heard it because she would just be like in my ear, like, yeah.
what?
I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
What?
dude, it was real. It was like, you know,
Dude,
and like she used to touch me a lot too until I told her I was
bro,
like, yo, I was like, can you chill?
bro, she did that shit to me too, low key. She would have smacked my all the time at work, all the time.
Did
Just, I'd be folding shirts and she just smacked. Like, I'm like, dude, come on, man, don't do that. Stop, don't, don't be doing that shit.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'd be like, can you chill? And like, and
Right?
she only stopped because I was like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. Come on.
But that's so weird though. Like, you're, that doesn't matter. Whatever. That's.
Yeah,
Mm.
pretty far off tangent here.
Oh yeah.
No, but I'm glad that you're doing this type of thing, man. Because honestly, I crave these types of conversations.
Yeah.
You know, it is like legitimately one of the most fulfilling things that I do in life is talk to people and kind of share my perspective and
Mm.
get theirs because it helps me grow. It helps other people grow. Like, you know, and especially if other people are gonna hear it. Mind you, I'm in the middle of writing a book right now. Uh,
Nice.
you know, because I feel like these types of ideas need to make their way into society and
Hmm.
all that type of stuff. And then, like obviously, purpose keeps you from being bored and grows you and
Yeah.
throws you in the direction that you need to be. So,
For
like,
sure. Yeah, man. It's these type of conversations are hard to have depending on who you are. Um, I never really I never really thought it was a hard conversation to have. I think it was kind of difficult to navigate for me personally because I've all obviously we've all been in this position, but I find myself in this kind of position all the time where I just don't know where to start. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I tackle this situation? And
right,
and that translates into like having these conversations. Like, where do I start? Like, where do we even begin on tackling this overarching problem? You know what I'm saying? Um, But yeah, man, like people like you, like you definitely know what you're talking about. You know what you want, and that's great. That's a good thing to good quality to have. Um,
It's really hard, and I'm still working on you kind of like my what's the word? My mannerisms in speaking.
hmm
I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of like how I present things, and because I know that because I'm not so I know I'm not so practiced. It's not like I have a platform that I speak on regularly.
hmm
Um, the only practice I have is conversations that I have with people like you guys and stuff like that. But it's like I don't know if you guys know who Jordan Peterson is,
I do.
but
Yeah, I watch his stuff.
so he's someone that I actually admire very much because and a lot of people like him because oh he dismantled blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's just like no, the thing to admire about him is like the quote unquote reason that he destroys people in debates is because he is so disciplined and intelligent and like with how he speaks. He
hmm
you can't catch him slipping. You know what we're talking about where it's like, oh, if you want to nitpick something that you can.
hmm
Jordan Peterson speaks in a way so that you cannot misconstrue him. And if you do, you look stupid for doing it because he was accurate enough that you shouldn't have misconstrued it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was as
And
clear as
so
possible. Yeah.
it's like you're showing your stupidity if you are unable to understand the point of the message at that point.
hmm
And so it's like I'm still working on that, and I imagine I'll look back on this podcast and I'll find qualms with how I presented certain parts of this,
For sure.
uh, like I think I used, you know, uh, I think I used women too much as an example during the generalization thing, like it
Yeah.
was like whatever.
hmm
But it's a growth process,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so
I
next time I'll be better, I suppose.
I think that's the beauty of, I don't know, just being human. You know, because that's what I'm trying to be big on for myself as well is self-reflection. If you practice self-reflection all the time as much as you can, you make note of what you say, how you say it, who you say it to, and you you build from there. Like you give yourself criticism if you need to and stuff like that. It improves how you feel about yourself, it improves how you treat yourself, and it improves how you treat others. And
Hmm.
then from that, like those other people feel it and then they can pay it forward. So I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's something that's actually a little bit too overlooked. Just like self-reflection in general. I feel like everybody should practice that a lot more.
Yeah. I agree.
I think because there isn't external quote unquote like there isn't external what's the word there isn't like what's the word I'm trying to get. There's not like a like almost like a prize. What is it that I'm trying to say?
Um, I, I I think I know what you're getting at,
Yeah.
but
There's not like external. There's not like material. There's not like a graspable.
there's no
Like a
like tangible
satisfaction.
gratification
Yeah,
from it.
tangible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no tangible gratification from it. It's like so you do it on your own,
Yeah,
right? For integrity purposes, and so
exactly.
that you can feel proud of yourself. And that's the thing. And I feel like people really get wrapped up in the external kind of like motivators a
Hmm.
lot. And so
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
I would say that's the reason why it gets overlooked so much.
Yeah. So self-reflection isn't stimulating. You have to actively just sit there and do it. It's not. It doesn't bring you any joy. It doesn't bring you any, like you said, any sort of tangible gratification. It's literally out of pure integrity. You have to just do it. You know. And
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think for me at least, there's gratification in it. Just like you said, it's not, you don't get like a tangible reward for it. Like, congratulations, you know, you're putting in this work. Here's a reward. It's not like that. It's just,
Right.
you do these things for yourself. You see the results if you're actually putting in that work. And from that, like you feel proud of yourself. You know, like you're
Yeah.
growing as a person.
You get an
So it's-
indirect
yeah.
reward.
So it's like, this is cool. Like, I like this. I like how I'm improving. You know, like, let me share the wealth if I can, in any way I can.
okay, yeah, I agree.
And if it really resonates with the next person, they're going to feel the same way, and they're just going to continue the cycle. And
Yeah,
then
it
just
shows
gets better from
itself
there.
Yeah,
for sure. Like it shows itself in confidence and in self-esteem, you know, because it's just like, you know, you made yourself a little bit better. Because the thing is the kind of like the maybe I'm just tired. Maybe that's the reason that my vocabulary isn't coming to me. The insiders? Catalyst, that's the word. So the catalyst for self-reflection often is kind of is usually some kind of disappointment in your behavior,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
Is that's what it usually is, and sometimes it can be even just disappointment in a thought that you've had, depending on how acute you are in your self-awareness. So um so the thing is that when you do that self-reflection and you kind of go back and visit the things that have disappointed you in yourself, uh and you kind of solve that issue, every single time you solve one of those things, it makes you a little bit more confident in yourself, because it's like, look, this problem's gone in me now, and now I'm a little bit better as a person, you know, and you can feel confident that that's not an issue that you have anymore. You know, you've literally just become a little bit stronger. It's like, you think about it like in video game terms, it's just like, well, that's one less weakness that I have. You
Yeah.
know, like you know, it's
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
it's one less crack in the armor.
right.
So it really, it can be gratifying. It's just like we said, it's just not in that weird like tangible way. You know, it's like, no, people aren't going to be able to notice it about you in the moment, but it comes about. It comes about, you know, to have its rewards, because then you become able to speak on, you know, the way that Jordan Peterson does, or you know, to have vulnerability or have conversations with people like this. It's like it does have its rewards for sure.
Yeah. Well, Ray, it's been an honor, man. It's we passed that 45-minute mark like 2 hours ago. But this is that.
It has?
Yeah, man. This is a special episode. This is like at least 2 hours and a half.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
yeah, man. Yeah, no, it's all good though. I appreciate the talk. It was tough.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I forgot to introduce myself and you guys at the beginning. But if
You
anyone
want
has,
to do that? You
yeah.
want to do that now? You can just edit it in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
just do it in post.
I'll do it in post. It's
Yeah.
all good. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, this has been an extremely special episode. Our guest, Ray, he's been a homie for a while. I honestly, this is the first time I've talked to you, like, apart from like us playing Smash, like that one time we haven't like talked verbally.
Right.
This is the first time I talked to you since Men's Warehouse. I'm pretty sure.
And I haven't seen you in person since middle school. Since middle school.
That's dead ass.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's actually crazy, man. Yeah, dude.
It's you know what's crazy is because I knew I would vibe with you guys just off of just like the micro interactions on social media. Like,
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I just be posting on Twitter.
No, honestly, same.
dude, I be on there like straight up. Like, sometimes I'm really stupid on Twitter, but sometimes I'm just sitting
No, I
there like
see.
spitting the fucking facts.
Yeah, like
like-
I don't interact with everything that I see on there, but I see everything that you post. And
Yeah,
like,
same.
It absolutely does resonate with me, and
sure.
it helps me, like, you know, like I said, like, give myself self-reflection and just apply those things that you're saying to myself and seeing what I can do with it. So in that way,
So
like,
I'm
you're
glad. I'm
like
really
you're
glad
paying
for
it
that.
forward,
Yeah.
and it's resonating with me, and I'm able to do that to somebody else.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, like it's like I said earlier, it's all about like planting that seed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't expect a tree if you don't plant it in the first place. So that is what you've been doing on social media. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really nice. Honestly though, like on my end, dude, I'm just posting stuff like big boobs and shit.
I retweeted that shit, I think.
I'm not paying for it.
Big boobs.
Big boobs. That's
That's the truth.
By yours truly.
Okay. I'm Ray.
yeah. That's.
I make music and I'm writing a book. Look out for them joints.
Bro, we're trying to make music too, man. Like that's another thing that me and him want to do is we want to make music too. That's another dream. So
You guys would make some chill ass shit. I know that.
Mhm.
yes, sir. Yes,
You guys
sir.
you guys are gonna be Masego, and like plus.
Man,
You know,
I'm Masego and FKJ right here, dude. Literally.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. It's been a pleasure having you on, man. I want to bring you back on if you're willing.
absolutely. You
At
should
some
be a
point.
recurring guest.
Yeah, bro.
I would super love to, man. Like living in the desert sucks. I don't get to have these type of conversations too much,
Yeah, man.
A lot of
well,
a lot of young guys around here don't know what they're doing, don't have any type of direction, whatever, Like I really vibe with you guys, and I enjoyed this a lot.
Heck yeah, man. This has been your host Gabe,
Co-host Darius.
and your guest Ray. And appreciate y'all tuning in on episode 3, this special mental health episode. So hope y'all got something out of it. I don't know. But catch y'all later. Peace out.
It's
Peace.